Coming to you from Orion Township, this is Oakland Leadership, and I'm Penny Shults. Thank you for joining us today as we visit with Orion Township Treasurer Mark Thurber and his Deputy Treasurer Mike Luna. Treasurer Thurber ensures Orion Township investments have the best potential earnings with the least amount of risk. His investment strategies have placed Orion Township in a strong financial position. Mike Luna is a certified public accountant, and he also serves as treasurer for the Orion Library Board. These men bring a well-rounded perspective for Orion Township's investment portfolio. I'm confident you will enjoy this edition of Oakland Leadership. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm so glad that you're here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
You both work together. I know you serve as Deputy Treasurer for our Treasurer, Mark Thurber. How did you come about this responsibility, Mike?
Well, I've known Mark Thurber for quite a while, probably a good 6-7 years, just through the neighborhood we live in. And when he expressed an interest in considering running for the treasurer position, he and I spoke on several occasions, just spitballing it, saying what kind of things he was interested in and what his goals were. And I really liked what he had to offer, especially his commitment to the community and family, most importantly, too.
Yes.
And so I just continue to assist him as needed, and that's how we've developed the relationship. So.
It's an important position to appoint your deputy, and I'm very glad to have you in the role as our Township Treasurer, Mark.
Well, thank you so much, Penny. Really appreciate that.
And how long have you served as a treasurer?
Well, it's been 3.5 years now.
Excellent. And you are invested in the community as well as making investments for the community. Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Well, of course. I still have 3 little ones at home, and they go to Orion schools, and you know, that's a huge part of my life. You know, every day running here and there, and Mike has kind of the same arrangement too. Is it's all about the kids these days. But beyond that, you know, we enjoy being involved in a lot of community groups and community initiatives, and really that's what prompted me to take the position. Is I really love Orion, and I said, look, how can I be more a part of what we do here?
We're very fortunate to have you making investments in the community for our financial positions, but you also have made some other investments as far as our Boy Scout camp and some of the Boy Scout initiatives. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those?
Well, sure. I have 2 young sons, and Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, that's a big part of my life, and I was never had the opportunity when I was young to be a scout, but I'm kind of, I guess, doing it through them these days. And one thing I love about the scouting organization is that it teaches the kids values and respect and a lot of things that aren't focused on in schools anymore. Also a lot of historical and hands-on things that they just don't get anywhere else. I had the opportunity to chaperone at the Boy Scout camp this past summer up north, and I don't think I heard please and thank you so much more than in that 1 week than I did over the course of a year. So
I like that.
There's a lot of reverence that goes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as such, when I had heard through the Boy Scout organizations that Camp Agawam, you know, it was mothballed and its future was uncertain, I immediately tried to dovetail it into some of the township business so that it can be preserved. It's been in existence in 1918, and I did not want to see something like that just get pushed over and just become nothing but a memory.
And I'm very glad that you did that, because now we have this legacy for future generations, and that's extremely important. I also was curious, Mike, you serve in several roles in the township. One of those is the treasurer for our Orion Township Library. Can you tell us a little bit about what that position entails and how those 2 positions have a nice blend with each other?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm the secretary of the township.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep. So I've been involved with the library for about 5 years now. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a great community resource. We're always investing into the community as far as making it a real focal point for all ages, from seniors all the way to infants. And the programming that the library provides is just phenomenal. There's great staff that really focus on customer service, and that leads to a very well attended and very well visited institution.
The library is also one of our precincts for
Yes,
the
it is.
community.
Mhm.
So they are always working together with the township and other agencies like our schools to make sure that we're working well within the community. I think that's one of the really important things that we do as a community, is we're not segregated. We work with each other, we collaborate on different issues, and we want to make sure that things are running smooth for everyone.
Yep, definitely.
So Mark, you make some major investments for the township. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your investment strategies?
Absolutely. I wish I had better news for the community right now, but everyone knows that returns are difficult. Whether you're in bonds, bond returns have been miserable for 5 years, and even equities, stock market, it's been a roller coaster. And so it's really been a tough task. By law, there's only certain things I can invest township money in, and those are largely bonds and whatnot. I do keep it extremely conservative as far as risk goes. We have almost no risk. Most of what we have is assured by the federal government of the United States, and there isn't anything better. If the U.S. government can't cover it, nobody else can. So our returns have been positive and done relatively well compared to, most other local communities. We had a tremendous amount of risk when I took office, and it was also during some tumultuous financial times, and I've mitigated most of that. And so my primary job is to make sure our money is safe, and I am totally confident in that statement. It's as safe as it can be. And meanwhile, I'm not doing bad on returns either.
I'm glad to hear that. That's very reassuring. Some of the other responsibilities that you have also include monitoring our foreclosures, the county foreclosures. And can you tell us a little bit? I know you're known for your kindness. You're known by, many people know that you're approachable. And one of the things people might not know about you is that you are helping residents stay in their home. Can you give us an example of how you've been able to work with one particular resident without stating who they are, and also how you're monitoring on a regular basis?
Absolutely. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate the comments that you made. I try to be approachable for our folks and I instill that into my staff, is that we're here for our people.
Yes.
And when our people need us, we do whatever we can. Well, as far as tax foreclosures go, I keep my finger on that as property flows to the county and perhaps is foreclosed upon and sold. And nobody told me that that's my job. I just kind of view it as my responsibility. And there's one particular instance that came up, and the taxes went unpaid. And I went out and visited the resident and whatnot, and their land was scheduled to be sold at the county auction. But I helped them work through the process, with us, kind of went over and above. This person is kind of off the grid, so to speak, and not fully in touch, and made sure that we did whatever we could to keep them in their house. In fact, I think the way it transpired is the township took ownership of the property, and then we allowed them to buy it back from us.
I was very grateful that was the way that it went, because it could have gone so many different ways. You facilitated that for the township to be able to, because under first right of refusal, we had that option. Otherwise it would have been sold and he would not have been able to stay there. And the township didn't lose any dollars at all.
No, not a bit.
And we didn't lose our resident.
Well, I view it as if we can keep our people in their houses, and this person really didn't have anyone else to help them through this, so he's in his house.
I'm glad. I'm very glad. Now, you talk about helping our residents. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that are available for our seniors, or for people that would want to pay their taxes all at once? They are able to hold off on paying them. I believe it's a summer tax bill deferral.
Yeah, deferral. Yeah, we can do that. There's a few options we have. we don't have a whole spectrum of things that we can do just by law, but when where we can help, we do. You know, there's veterans exemptions, there's deferrals, like you mentioned. Really, I think the primary message to send to residents is if they're having difficulty, don't hide from it. Don't put it off. Come in and talk to us, and we will do whatever we can to put you in touch with. Well, either we can do some things internally, or we can put you in touch with the county or the state. We'll do everything possible, but our tools are limited. But what we do have, it's for our community.
And a way that people can reach you is through the township website or the phone number.
Of course.
For Township
Yep.
Hall.
248-391-0304. And really, if you just push extension 2, it goes straight to the treasurer's office. Email is always great. Drop in when you're in there paying your water bill and your tax bill. I always like meeting the residents. Ask for me. I'm happy to come out and shake hands or have you in for a cup of coffee.
That sounds good. And I do go there for coffee once in a while. You got a Keurig.
Yep, I do.
That's nice. I think it's the only one in the building. So Mike, I serve with you on the North Oakland Community Coalition Board.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about your role as treasurer for the coalition.
Well, my primary role is to make sure that the financial oversight is there. As you mentioned, I am a CPA, and so that brings some benefits to the organization. So Julie and I meet on several occasions, whether it's budgeting season, monthly financials, preparation for the board meetings, and just make sure we have a very solid foundation from a financial standpoint. And I also help out with the organization. So we just recently had, yesterday there was a township hall meeting, and that was, from what I understand, very well attended. I couldn't make it, unfortunately, but
it was Hope Over Heroin. It was outstanding.
Hope Over Heroin. Yes, yes. It was great, and it's great to invest into the community, from financials and all the way down to the teens that are subject to so much peer pressure out there. And it's great to have an organization to just trying to steer them in the right direction and providing parents the guidance that's necessary.
And we all have to work together to achieve that.
Yep, we do.
Yep, we're not on an island.
No.
We need to be able to be there for one another.
Yes.
There's the Pollyant Trail that connects us in our township. And I'm really thankful for the fact that we were able, under a foreclosure situation, no one was living on that property, but the township was able to acquire a piece of property. So I know that you're working for, we want to be able to represent all spectrums of the community. All our diversity in our community is rich, and so we want to make sure no one is being left out. There is a need for a handicap parking lot on Pollyant Trail, and I know you're helping to facilitate that. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on? Give us an update.
Yeah, this is, thank you for asking. This is one of my active projects right now. Once again, it's a little outside my role as a treasurer, but why not? I mean, I'm handling the financials. That's pretty straightforward, cut and dry, and it's these extra things that I get to do for the community that really get me excited. I am treasurer for the Pollyant Trail, and as you mentioned, there was a little piece of property that came up on foreclosure with the county. It was really unusable as anything else. It was just an ancillary piece of property that went into tax foreclosure. So I bought it, the township bought it, and then donated it to Pollyant Trail because it is right next to the trail off of Indianwood Road. Now, why this is important is right now the parking area for Pollyant Trail near there is up and over a big hill. It's really hard to pass even on foot if it's icy. But imagine if you're handicapped or in any way. There's no way that you can park and get to the trail. This property that I purchased is right next to the trail and right off Indianwood Road. So my goals right now are, they're starting to take shape, is to make that a designated handicapped parking area that's easily accessible with an offloading area and a ramp right up onto the trail. And you know, thankfully I'm not in this position, but I gotta imagine that's pretty important for somebody who perhaps can't walk or something, is to be able to take advantage of our natural trails, but they have to have access to it. And so that's what I've got going on right now, and forging into the into 016. That's going to be pretty heavy focus of mine.
I'm excited about that. It'll make use of that Pollyant Trail for more people who couldn't even get out there. It was funny, we were out there one day, my family and I, and one of my grandkids was practically screaming all the way up the hill. She did not want to be there any longer. It was time for her to go home, and up the hill, we had to push her in her stroller. And it was a long hike, so I can't imagine someone having to make that hike with a disability. So I'm glad that you're working on that project.
Thank you.
And do you guys work together on any other projects besides what we've got going on with Township Investments and as a deputy treasurer? And in the treasurer's absence, you're also signing for him as well.
Yes.
Are there other projects that you two are working on?
Well, we talk frequently, you know, about everything in the community, whether it's something we're working on together or not. So we're always in touch. Really, I just, as far as the financials and whatnot go, I think that our talents complement one another. As you mentioned, Mike's a banker and CPA, while I'm a little bit more focused on investments and community projects, and of course some of the legislative things and policy things that you and I have to work on. So I think that we complement, our talents complement each other very well. So as far as specific projects, I don't know, we're both interested in what each other does. Is there anything come to mind?
Yeah. Well, I have girls, and you have 2 boys and a girl, so we're involved in scouting. So we'll just hear about where they go as far as camping, and I bring it up to my wife, and she takes and runs it with it when she can. So she's also a leader of my youngest daughter's Girl Scout troop.
Oh, I like that.
And so it's great to hear about what the Boy Scouts are doing and the collaboration there when we can on camping and other projects. So,
That's good. That's really good. I don't see you in the Township Hall often, and I think that's a good sign, because a deputy fills in the absence of the treasurer. I have a deputy clerk. I'm required by law to assign a deputy clerk, and people don't see her much in the office either. And I think that's important. We know that the deputy position is there. The community knows that that safeguard is in place in the absence of that person serving as the elected official. And I think it's really important that people know that the people who are elected to do their jobs are indeed doing them. So it's an all-around good system in place. And we're required to do that by law.
Right.
So it's good. A couple of things that I wanted to touch is, how can people plan a little bit better for their tax structure? Say, for an example, they are looking at their taxes going up, or they're putting on an addition, or they're building. Can they come to the treasurer's office and get an idea of what it might cost them if they put this amount of improvement on their home, or they build a $200,000 home? Can they find out a tax projection?
Well, what we can do is, as you know, Oakland County does it's equalization or assessing, and they're really the final word on improvements or on building a new structure. So they do it. However, we work closely with them. So if somebody had that concern, they can come in, we can guide them through it, put them in touch with the right people at the county, and bring all the pieces together so they know what they're faced with if they choose to make that leap.
So no surprises.
Yep,
I like
to think
that. It's good to know.
Something I wish I did when I was building a house, but live and learn, you know?
Right, right. And we're not going up too much in our taxes. We're not, I think we're under 0.5% in 2016. Is that our projection?
I believe so.
So that's pretty good. People can manage that well, unless you put on an addition or do something different, you know, that's out of the norm.
Well, the tax cycle is interesting. It lags reality by a couple of years. So so right now it's not too bad. I hope that the roller coaster doesn't swing too far up in the coming years, but we'll have to wait and see.
So how many ways can people pay their taxes now?
Oh, well, thank you for asking that. We just implemented a credit card swipe system at the counter, and we get asked about that all the time. Right now, you can go online and pay it with a credit card at official payments or paylocaltaxes.com. You can come into our office and pay by check. Cash is always nice. And we also take credit card swiping right there at the counter. I want to caution everybody, there is a courtesy fee for using credit cards, and it's not something that we get. The township gets no money for that. It's the credit card processor. So be sure you understand what fees you're going to be responsible for if you choose to use credit. So, and of course, you can always mail checks in. That's
We
the
see that
customer.
regularly.
Oh boy, the mail comes flying in when it's due. Sure.
And I see people lined up down the hall ready to pay their taxes. So a lot of people wait till the very end for various reasons, but you always accommodate them. And I see you at the counter as well as your other staff members too. So we get them through pretty quick.
Yeah, but that last week before taxes are due, which is 15th of February, and remember that's President's Day, so we're going to be closed. So really get them in the week before would be better,
Okay.
because the lines are going to be long.
Yeah.
That's a rush period, and we only have so many staff. We're under a very lean staff, so during the rush periods we only do what we can do.
And you get people out. I don't see them complaining and when they're coming back around the hall, and they get to talk to each other in the lineup. Sometimes there's some interesting conversations going on as they're waiting.
Yeah, we've never had it outside the door or
Nope.
anything like that. I mean, at worst, I think maybe I've seen 10 people. So it takes 5 minutes or so.
Now, you have Oxford Bank. You have a great relationship with them. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because they're a local bank.
Oh, absolutely. Oxford Bank, as far as I understand, has been part of the community for nearly 140 years. I might be misquoting that, but that's what I understand. They're so much a part of our community,
Yes.
Oxford and Orion, and we'll talk a little bit more about Oxford in a little bit, but the bank has been here for so long, I am very reluctant to change my business. Plus, we have a great relationship with them. In fact, somebody showed me there's a check that Brace Beamer, the Lone Ranger fellow, back in the 40s wrote to Harold Cleaners from Oxford Bank.
For heaven's sake.
And so, it's just a little chunk of history from way back when.
So who's Bryce Beamer?
Brace Beamer was the original Lone Ranger. It was the fellow who was the longest on the radio during the Lone Ranger radio television show during the, I can't remember the exact dates he started and stopped, but it was like from the late 30s through the 50s. And every kid, as far as I understood it, tuned into the Lone Ranger.
Yes.
And he is from Oxford. He grew up on Drainer Road, where the original Silver Horse, there is actually 7, I'm told, was right there on that ranch. And his family actually owned the department store in downtown Lake Orion.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
So he's not from Oxford. He's lived in Oxford. His family had a business here.
Sure.
He was part of the Orion-Oxford area.
Yeah.
So.
And so how did Lone Ranger Days come about?
Well, that's interesting. I tell you, I take a bit of razzing for that, and
It's so cool, though.
But I think it's a great thing in general. I was at a Greater Oakland GOGOP meeting, a Republican club meeting, and there was a fellow named Rod Charles was talking about the Lone Ranger, how he's from here, and I stopped him and I said, "Wait a second! Disney has a movie coming out, revitalizing the Lone Ranger thing. He's from here, meaning Oxford and Orion. How can we pass this opportunity? We got a Disney movie coming out." And so we just put it together and started twisting some arms on interest and everything. And I really like it because it shows it's aligned a lot with the values and whatnot I appreciate for the Scouts. Reverence, respect, loyalty, justice, all those things that, somehow today become more and more diminished, which disappoints me a little bit. It's the values, and it's really another way for our community to not only cling to our heritage, but also what we're about. We're about family values.
Yes.
So that it seemed like a natural to me.
I like that. You actually played the Lone Ranger, and our supervisor, I think, played the sheriff, and I played, what was that gal's name? We did the radio thing.
I know. I can't remember.
I can't remember him. We had a blast.
You were the heroine, I think, right?
Yes, it was so much fun. We did the radio days with our seniors, and we had a blast. We laughed so hard, and we did a great job. ONTV helped facilitate that.
Yeah, it was great fun, and they identified with it, and with the new movie that came out, here you are, you're linking all these living generations together with a common thread, and I'm like, we can't pass this up.
So when is Lone Ranger Days?
Well, it's coming up again at the beginning of August.
Okay.
We're still here in the middle of winter, so we haven't laid all the plans out, but the parade has been exceedingly successful.
Yes.
It's a nice traditional parade. If you haven't gotten out there, I encourage you to do it. It's usually the first Saturday in August. And it's not all the neon and pomp and circumstance. It's traditional. We've got antique tractors and cars and marching bands and horses and animals, and it cracks me up. We had a couple of years where they had a bunch of dogs from a rescue, and they all had these little tiny Lone Ranger hats on. It was hilarious. And and I bring the Wells Fargo stagecoach, and it makes us remember that we're not a real urban setting. We're Orion and Oxford, where everybody knows each other.
Yes.
We're a tight-knit community, and it's a reminder of that, at least for me.
I like that. That's very cool. So we got to wrap up here. Any closing things you want to let us know about what's going on in your life, Mike, and some of the things in the community you want us to know?
Well, excuse me. I love the community, and what brought us here is that feeling of a small town community, but there's just so much to do here. From the lakes, bike riding, the Pollyanna Trail, the community resources that we have, the great people we have here. It's just a great pleasure to live here and be a part of it. And so I know my family and I appreciate all the hard work that our leaders are providing to us, and just really enjoy it. So
I'm really glad you're a part of it. I do see you everywhere.
It's
if
fun.
I'm not seeing you, I'm seeing your wife.
That's right, yeah, she's very involved too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, very
thank you.
involved. I
Yes.
think that's one of the most important things, that we know, people know that they can be a part of what's happening.
That's right.
It's a really good, reminder for us.
And small enough, pardon me, and
Yes,
it's small
sir.
to still make a difference.
Yes.
So that's what's nice about it.
Yep, I like that. How about you, Treasurer Thurber? Any closing comments?
Mike really kind of capped it off here, and our families are so integrated in the community, whether it's organizations or working in the government, working in committees. My kids, my wife, everybody is part of it, as well as Mike's, and I'm just very thankful to have folks like Mike and you to work with, and we love Orion. That's all it boils down to.
Can't get any better than that.
That's right.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate having both of you on the program today.
Thank you for the invitation.
I hope you've enjoyed this program today. From all of us at Oakland Leadership and Orion Neighborhood Television, we thank you so much for joining us today.